Hey friends, welcome to my True Heart assemblage. I decided to call it True Heart because I made kind of a real shape, well, human shaped heart. I'm using the paper pulp modeling paper stuff there. You've seen the package. From the Dollarama I got for $4. And like I said, instead of doing a whimsical heart, I just started shaping itself to like a human shaped heart. I use a box from a packaging from Charms, wine charms that Cora got from a secondhand store. She wanted to take them apart and use the charms for other things there. And then I also used another box for the I don't know, frame part to frame the piece, the assemblage. Here I'm using a rope to make them kind of like muscle looks pieces on there, so I was just using my rope for that, and I thought that would turn out pretty neat. It looks realistic. Looking at now the autonomy book, and oh yeah, I'm gonna make them look a little bit more realistic there, so I was forming that. I'm like, okay, grab me that. So I'm using scrap paper here. This one's ripped at the top, I believe, and I'm just using another scrap paper. I've had these forever. These are like the circus old papers, really super old, like way back old. So you can see that was the charm box. So I put that one in the background because I know this one's ripped and I just didn't care, and then I thought I'd use that for part of my assemblage, just roll it up a little bit and have that as a part of the look, something interesting. And there's the beginning of that. So I have where I want my heart, and I kind of playing with that. I like that. And there's my potato box, and sorry, and I'm cutting that out, trying to get a frame happening there. Of course the doggies have to bark. And so I'm just tracing, I'm not measuring, I'm tracing the back of my box to kind of get where I want my frame to be opened. And here we go. I'm slicing the center-ish a bit, leaving like a couple inches there to go in, and cutting that out. So there we go. Now the outer edge is about the outer edge of the box where I want the box to be glued in, and the center part I'm cutting out to let in a punch, so then I can kind of punch away. There you go. See that punch? It's a butterfly punch. I could punch away. And I'm making the camera wiggle here a bit, but I wanted to make it look more open and that kind of thing. This side I got stuck a little bit. I don't know what happened here. Got the punch a bit stuck, and yep, just worked way, kept it going. I was trying to be patient with it, and that one didn't quite cut all the way through, but it's okay. I use it anyways. It's just didn't reach because of the corners there. But I want it to be like a frame. A little bit, but a little bit coming over the edge, so you'll get the gist of how I wanted it. So I'm cutting away and trying to make it look more open at parts. And I did not realize my camera was wiggling this much. Not good. So I'm having trouble with the stand. I traded stands with Chloe. I might have to trade back, borrow mine back when I'm doing these videos. I'm using a tripod, or not a tripod. I borrowed her my tripod, one of the painting ones anyway. So then with my edges there, I'm adding depth, and I'm putting the pieces that I cut off on, adding them on. See, I want it to be dimensional, so I'm just gluing them on. I also glue some butterflies and some flowers in there. And then it just looks a little bit more dimensional when I put some gesso and some other paint on there. I wanted to look a bit antique-y, so I did a lot of the colors that I thought would make it look more antique. And I think I'm doing the butterflies, and you see how there's a bunch of butterflies punched out, so I'm adding those to the cardboard, and some of the little flowers you can see are punched out. And did not realize I was totally crazy with my camera here. But hey, that happens, I guess. So, this was the potato box that my husband likes, these scalloped potatoes. Ugh. Sorry, did I say that out loud? And I have no idea why he doesn't have patience for homemade. I don't know. But when he makes himself something to eat, which is rare, but when he does, he uses the scalloped potatoes from the store. Ugh. Anyway, again, at least I got something to recycle. So there's my frame, and I think it's looking really good. It's got some dimension, and I'm going to gesso it. I'm not worried about how much coverage I have with the gesso, but I have a magazine page book actually in the background, and as I'm doing my layers, I'm just ripping pages off, so then it just makes an easy cleanup for me. As quick as possible. Decided to do this upstairs in the living room. The girls were doing their flyers and whatnot, so I was just kind of there with them, and they were doing their stuff. Painted the gesso on the edge of my box too. I didn't bother with the back, but you can see there's those little wine charms. They were Gulf wine charms, and Cora likes that. I gessoed the front of my heart, and that heart actually wasn't dry when I put it on, but I did heat the front of it pretty good. But oh, it's black and white on this part. Oh, that's perfect. I will have to fix that. Well, here I put some color on that you can't see. Okay, I hope that this works. I went back and fixed that, and now there's color. So you maybe didn't see the black and white. If you did, no, I think it's color now. So anyway, so now I got this nice light green on here, and I'm putting it as my base, and then some peacock for the next. It's bright green, and I got peacock. Oh, peacock teal actually for the next layer. I go in a touch with a darker green after, and I think that's like an antique cream green. And then I do a little bit of the black as well, an antique cream. And drying, I should have got this edited out, but anyway. And then I went with the black, and then I kind of just go back and forth. I was just trying to get those things that I glued on there, the butterflies and the flowers, to jump out. So then I think I go back and even gesso it a little bit to get some of the jumping out. I also add a little bit of school bus yellow, and oh, at this point I Mod Podge it first before I add the school bus yellow and then the gesso. I Mod Podge it just to seal it, and sometimes Mod Podge seems to give it a little bit of depth, or any kind of glue sealer. So I tried that just to give it, so it's not sinking into that card, because that was a card, the back of the card. Even though I did gesso it ahead of time, I just wanted to give it a little bit more, so it just held it more. Put a tad of yellow like that. So what I'm doing now is just trying to age it a bit, and that's why I'm going back and forth with the colors a bit. And then I also add a little bit of the gesso. But I wish I would have used maybe a little bit of white paint, because the gesso dulled it up a little bit. It doesn't have that sheen that the other paints had. So if I changed that, I think that's the only thing I would have changed. But I did put more, I think, Mod Podge on it to get to sheen up, I think. I do at some point. Now I'm adding the gold just to the edges, and see the trims around the butterflies where it's more open and whimsical, and all the basically all the butterflies and flowers I glued on there that make a like kind of an embossed impression look. I just put some gold on there, and this is an antique gold. It's actually Venetian, I think Venetian gold, and it's a very nice dark kind of reddish hue to it, gold. And I got so many different varieties. And I just put it all on those extra pieces that I glued on there and around all the trim and even on the outer edge, just to kind of make it stand out a bit. Eventually I put some black antiquing cream, but that's way at the end to make it pop just around the edges too. And I like the way it looks now. So just drying it up, pulling it off, and like I said, I just tearing up the page, going into my next thing and just seeing where it's landing on the box, if I'm on where I penciled it in, seeing how my heart sat. Now I realize, okay, it's still wet and I want to continue, I don't want to stop. So what I do is I put some toothpicks down on my heart. It holds it up a bit, plus it has time to dry then, and I don't have to worry about it getting all moldy or anything. So that's my way of escaping the time to let it dry totally. So I can paint the one side and then it'll just dry through the back. That's my cheating it. And I got some variation of reds and the blue, and I'm trying to make it realistic-y, but not so. More like what they would have in the Autonomy, how do you say that? Autonomy? I can't say it now. There you go, the Atlas book. How they would show you the different kind of colors there to kind of separate what parts of the heart are and which veins come from where, and that they have a little bit of the blue on one side, the left and right ventricle, and they even have like a yellow vein coming up, but it's obviously those are not the actual colors, but those are the colors they use to show when they're teaching. So I just did the same thing as they did on there. I have a bit of a bluer side there on the heart, and that's the darker part of the heart. I think that was the right ventricle, the right side. And then I do a little bit more highlighting with the lighter. I ended up highlighting with yellow too, liking the way it was looking. There is my blue, some there, going down the other side as well, making some veins. Didn't want to make anyone grossed out, but I thought it was really cool the way it was coming together for me, so I went with it. And there's my yellow, and then I started kind of highlighting the bottom, using that as just my highlight. If you want to highlight red, you use a little bit of yellow rather than white, or you're going to make it kind of look pink. So that's what I was doing. Now that's the look of it pretty much. This is before I even add a touch of gold, which of course not realistic on heart, but hey, heart of gold, you ever hear that expression? I thought, hey, I'm going to throw some gold on there. Thought that was kind of neat, throwing that on there. And at the end I glaze it. I glaze everything. Everything's really shiny. So I use my sealer finished, but it's the gloss acrylic sealer. It's gloss, and I use it on the whole thing. It looks great. So there's my heart of gold, looking pretty cool. My fingers are really painted. I had so much fun there. Of course, saving my gold. Cannot waste an ounce of gold, or even like a little bit. I need to save that. And my easy peasy discard my page. Okay, there I have my nice little heart. Loving it. Drying it up a bit. Now it's just perfect. I hot glue those toothpicks in, you've seen, and then I'm just going to hot glue the ends in here, and they're going to be up, and it's going to dry nice. It's going to be perfect. So here I go, drying. The back side's all open. There's no glue on there. It's all going to be able to air out and cure over time, so I don't have to worry about it. I have done projects where I was a little worried because I didn't let it dry. This one, it's no problem at all. Loving just trying to figure out exactly where I want it, just the way the tear of that paper happened to be there, and I used it anyways. It was paper I've had forever and I wanted to start using it, and so I'm just kind of guessing where I want things. And yeah, he's solid in there, so now I just have a few things I gathered and I'm going to put them inside my box. So these are some things I got in Happy Mail and that kind of thing, birthday mail or whatever, and these things I all received. This butterfly I received about 3 years ago in a butterfly swap in International Crafters, and my very last one, I believe, that I have left from my swap partner. Very cute butterflies layered with book paper and stuff like that, and tissue paper, and the centered body of the butterflies with beads. This is from a swap from Edie Fox in International Crafters. That's her name, Edie. And yeah, I have, this is left trim from that. That's all I have left. I think it was for my birthday giveaway or a swap or something. She gave me those pieces, so I put the last of those in there, and I love it, just love it. So yeah, checking it out every once in a while, going back and forth. I actually put those little pieces, the 2 little pieces, closer to the heart, and then I just glue them down. I decided right away actually on that one. Hot glued those down. And I really didn't want to use anything new. The only thing I did use new so far, I think, besides the paint, is the paper, modeling paper stuff here that I used. And everything else I wanted to be recycled and stuff out of my stash from people. And my goal was to use some of this stuff up, and that's what I did. I'm really happy the way it turned out. So I'm saving little boxes and stuff like that. I think I'm going to be making more of these type of things. I really enjoyed this. It was so fun. Placing everything in there, and I'm really not being precise. I'm just kind of like having fun with it. And I thought today was less was more for me, so I didn't add a ton of stuff. So those are the only items I actually add in there, and then I just add a little bit more paint inside just to kind of bring it together more, because that paper was really, well, it looked like an antique yellow, and I do add a little bit of the green inside and then the gold. Loving it, absolutely loving it. Oh yes, I had this in my stash forever. Do I remember where I got them? I do not remember where I've received these. I must have bought them at some point, and they're just cardboard buttons, cardstock buttons, and I thought I wanted to use a couple of those up at least. I have had these forever. So I grabbed some of my string, pulled a little bit of string through, tie a knot, and I do this a couple of times, and I have little buttons, a little bit of a touch of something else. And it's got that dark burgundy color that kind of goes with that heart. So I like that, and I tie it in with a little bit of paint to bring it together afterwards. And I hot glue that right in the top right hand corner there, those two of them. I end up doing 2. Yep, get back up there. Yep, that's where you want to be. Perfect. Takes me forever here. Come on, up. There you go. Then we want to do another one. It just, I don't know. I was going to put the button inside, and I'm like, no, let's put it on the outside here and have a little something. Instead of flowers, a little different. And I do the same thing and tie that little string through. Craft string from the dollar store there. So that's another thing that was, you know, in my stash that I haven't, like all these things I haven't purchased in a few years. They were around. So, and like I said, and recycled pieces. So I really want to use nothing new except for the paper, the modeling paper stuff. What is that stuff called? It's in a different language. Paste paper model, Moliere. Modeling material, air hardening. And that is that. Isn't that looking good? So I think I'm going to add some color to this, I believe, at this point. A little bit of green inside there and perhaps a little bit of gold. And there we go, back with that nice bright green. Just to put a little bit in there and tie it together. And I also do the outside edge of the box, but I think I do that afterwards, not even on this video. I realized, oh, I just left it white. And I'm not being too careful, but I'm just enjoying this process. It was really fun. It doesn't have to get too much. I want that yellow to still show. I just wanted to get a little bit of that green in there. And that was just using paper that I probably would never use anymore. I've used it so many times in little places, ATCs, and so many different projects that I was getting. You just have these leftovers that you just don't want to use, or you're getting tired of using. That's where this circus stuff just kind of, I just got tired of using it. And then I'm like, finding a place. I need to find a place to use this up. Got tons of it. I gave so much of it away too. And I'm adding my gold, a touch of that, and then I'm loving it. Just loving it. Getting just, you know, you look in different angles or whatever, and you see the little touches of gold and whatnot in there, and the touches of green. It looks really, really nice. And then after this, I just glue my edges on that little box and put my frame over top. And it's a perfect little box for this. And there I go. I haven't used hot glue in a long time, so I'm like, like don't like the stringiness of it, but for this kind of project, you're not using it tons and tons, so it's good. And that is it. That is looking great. I'm really happy with it. I think I'd play with it a little bit more, obviously. And oh yeah, this is where I'm painting around the buttons a little bit of that bright green, and then I put a little gold over top, and just to tie those buttons in. And I do a little bit of that cream, antiquing cream around the whole edges, and that is in carbon black that I do that afterwards too. And there we go. And I really got full painted fingers on this one. It's good. I haven't done a messy project in a while. Well, a really messy one. Where my fingers, my whole palms were full of paint there. And that was that. I was actually thinking that I was done here, and then like looked at it again, and I really like putting that string over that to make the muscle of the heart look more realistic. I kind of rolled that string on there, and you can really see that. That's pretty cool. And yeah, like I said, I thought I was done here, but I believe I add a little more. Just have to look at it, I guess, and didn't realize I had that. Yeah, I think this is where I'm like, okay, goodbye guys. But then I started recording again. This is where I'm putting the antique cream on and rubbing it on, and then rubbing it off this quickly too. Like I did leave it on for a bit, and then I'm rubbing it off the cloth. You're supposed to rub it on and rub it off, and gives it a nice little old antiquing look. So then I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to get the inside edge too. I was thinking about getting my inks out and start inking it, but I'm like, no, I'll just use this antiquing cream and just do that. It'll be easier to get in the edges, and it'll look more natural, I think. So that's what I did, and I liked it, and I kind of just got it all over the place. Getting a little bit on my background too there, wiping it a little bit off, getting it on, and there we go, wax on, wax off. I was thinking about throwing that skeleton piece in there, and I'm like, nope. I ended up getting this little leaf, and it was like a rose gold color, and I sprayed it with that acrylic sealer. You can see how shiny it is, and it's looking great. I hope you guys liked this. Thanks guys for watching. Bye.